Hi, communicators, pastors, and leaders. Welcome to the 2024 Communications Workshop, sponsored by the Northeastern Conference Communication Department. My name is Micah, and I am the product of a vision to see digital content become relevant in ministry for our churches. Today, we hope that you are strengthened with resources to become creators. Moreover, people are consuming information and entertainment through digital media, and we believe God has something to say to His people outside of the hours of our divine worship services. So we have set the theme of our workshop this year to begin shaping our minds around the concept of becoming digital disciples and winning souls for Jesus via our digital platforms. I'd like to especially welcome our keynote speaker, Mrs. Chenoa Vilfranc, the Director of Digital Media for the Atlantic Union Conference. Today we have presentations in several content-creating areas. Please take note of today's itinerary. Next, we will have our devotion by our Director of Communications here in NEC, Pastor Duddley Francois. Then, at 11:30, we will hear from our keynote speaker on digital discipleship. Following Mrs. Vilfranc, at 12:30, we will take a short break, except for our technical directors who will have a 30-minute video training session with Travis Williams of Lebanon SDA Church right here. At 1 p.m., we will have two breakout webinars, one on videography with Cheryl Wilson, found on the bottom of this webpage, and the second on podcasting with the creators of the Unbiased podcast, Dowens and Eli. At 2, we will return here for a general webinar on streaming and audio engineering with our Assistant Communication Director, Gary Saunders. And finally, we will close with announcements, prayer, and upcoming events for our communication leaders. We know that there are visitors from outside our conference here, and we want to extend our welcome to you. Feel free to find me on our children's ministry content called Northeastern Kids on YouTube, and download or watch our conference podcast, Confessions on YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Welcome to the 2024 NEC Communication Workshop entitled, I Am a Content Creator. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. And we're looking forward to a wonderful day. Been a lot of planning, a lot of preparation for us to be here, but we are here and we're thankful so much that you came and you registered and you're a part of this journey. This is the 2024 Northeastern Conference Communication Workshop, and it's entitled, I Am a Content Creator. Today, we hope that in the next couple of hours that you will find not just a renewed strength in what you're good at, but also an opportunity for us to push forward in things that you might want to continue to achieve. And so with Northeastern, we strive to want to be innovative in how we communicate and express the gospel. And so myself and my entire team, we have a wonderful responsibility of trying to push our churches to become more creative, more innovative, and more captivating in spreading the message of Jesus throughout our conference and throughout the digital world. And so welcome again, everyone. Thank you to Micah and for all of the things that we have prepared for you today. We're looking forward to a wonderful day in the Lord. My name is Pastor Duddley Francois. I am the Communication Director for the Northeastern Conference. I have my assistant, Gary Saunders, who will be with us at 2 o'clock for a general session on streaming and audio. But I just want to thank, before I even start, everyone who's made communications as great as it is in NEC. I'd be remiss if I did not thank our former assistant communication director, and her name is Cheryl Wilson. She's been reassigned, but Cheryl is family. She's also doing a presentation today at 1 o'clock, but her work and her effort and her passion towards this can never not be appreciated or recognized. So I just want to thank her. Tristan Taylor from the Lebanon Church, I call him my young prodigy. I want to thank him. I want to thank my entire Lighthouse Media staff and crew for all the work that we do on traveling the conference and doing different work and different events. I want to thank them in a great way. And I want to thank my administrators, our conference president, Dr. Abraham Jules, our entire administration for granting us the opportunity for us to do the things that we do and giving us the freedom to do it. I want to shout out my Confessions family, my Confession podcast family, Pastor Michelle Moda, Pastor Edsel Cadet, Ingrid Pierre, for just a continued love of doing things that break and shatter the norm. And to all of you, our communication directors and our communication staff, our pastors and our leaders who work tirelessly, especially in the area of communication where you do so much work and you don't necessarily get the credit for it. I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for your patience with me, for your support in all the things that I send you, and the ability for you to post and reshare and all the things that we are doing here in NEC. I hope that through my efforts and through the efforts of my team, that we are making you proud as a conference and as a conference family. So today we look forward to seeing what the Lord is going to do. And my responsibility today is to lead us out in not just prayer, but with our morning devotion. And so I'll call for us to bow our heads wherever we are, and let's have a brief word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you so much for today. We're thankful so much for the morning and for the newness that it brings. We're thankful, Lord, for an opportunity for us to learn more about you, who you are, what you call for us to be, and more specifically, thankful for the tools that you've given us to be communicators, to be a part of the wonderful task of building and shaping and expanding the kingdom of God through the resources that you've given us. We pray, Lord, today that you would do something transformative through our keynote speaker, through all of our presentations today, that we would learn, that we would grow, that we would be edified, that we would be transformed, that we would be pushed beyond our limits and be able to do things that are innovative and transformative and really represents and vindicates the name of Jesus in a mighty and a powerful way. Bless us with that experience. And even more, oh Lord, for all of those who are here, for those who are about to join, for those who are going to join a little bit later, bless this webinar, this attempt to do better for your name's honor and glory, and do whatever you can, be in the midst of everything that we say and do, oh Lord, that your name would be glorified. This is our prayer today, in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, we want to encourage you as much as you can to use our comment section and make sure you put in your questions and your comments and your feedback and all of that in the comment section. We look forward to that. We're thankful for those who have registered, and for those who have registered today on our webpage. We want to make sure that we can send you the content that we have presented throughout today's service or throughout today's webinar, to make sure that you have as much information as you might possibly have. Now, we're also excited that this may not necessarily be the only workshop that we're going to be doing. Hopefully we'll do another couple of web workshops throughout the rest of the year to make sure that we are targeting on specific things, key areas, and we'll give you those announcements towards the end of today's program. But for today, I just want to leave you with a word, and that is found from the story in Exodus chapter 3, namely verses 1 to 5. Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. And the story is Moses and the burning bush. If you're very familiar with the story of Moses, you know that every stage that Moses was in, every place that Moses was in his life had significance. And now we find ourselves in chapter 3 in the story of the burning bush, where Moses is on top of a mountain and he's tending the flock of his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he sees something that he has never seen before. He sees something that has caught his attention, and he turns his eyes to this sight, this amazing revelation, this way of communication. And he says, I want to go and see this sight, this strange phenomenon, why this bush is on fire and it's not consumed. And it was from that attempt that God spoke to Moses and called Moses by his name. And Moses answered and said, here I am, Lord. I'd like to just remind us the importance of being communicators in the sense of recognizing that even God, even the Almighty, Most High God, uses ways of communication to gain our attention, to call people to active service for the Master. God wasn't hesitant of being creative in the way that he expressed himself. That God chose to reveal himself in a way that would grab the attention of Moses, in a way that Moses would turn away from what he was doing and turn to what God wanted him to do. It's an encouraging fact to know that you have, and we have as communicators, the power and the resources to shape the very image of God, the very revelation of who he is and what his truth is. And the beauty of that journey as God reveals himself in a burning bush is that he reveals himself to Moses as a burning bush because God's revelation is not dictated by man's interpretation. God is God. And God chooses to reveal himself to Moses not because God is limited, but because he knows who he's communicating to. If I were to pause and give you a commercial, is to say that the best and the most effective way to be a communicator isn't necessarily about what you say, but how it's received. And if you're not properly allowing people to receive what you're trying to give, it's not proper communication. God knew how to communicate to Moses because he knew his audience. And he was willing not to be limited in only one way of revealing himself, but be creative because of the knowledge of his audience, to come down to where his audience is and reveal himself in a way that its audience would be captivated. How amazing would it be that our churches, that our ministry, that our area and department of communication would try to stretch the barriers of what we do to become more innovative, to captivate someone who needs to see something that they've never seen before. You know, God's revelation is not dictated by man's interpretation, as we mentioned before. And what I love about that is that in how God chose to communicate himself to Moses, he communicated himself to Moses in a way that Moses would truly understand who he was. It was an understanding of knowing Moses' limitation. And because God is jealous for us, to come down in a way that Moses would truly understand who the God of his forefathers were. And so he chooses a burning bush. And if you've heard me with this, I always used to ask the dumb question of saying, God, why a burning bush? Why choose that version of communication to Moses? Well, it's because I believe that Moses would have never truly understood who God was if it wasn't a burning bush. That I believe that depending on who it was, depending on who was tending the flock on top of that mountain that day, that they themselves would have seen another revelation, that God would have chosen a specific style or type or manifestation of himself to gain that person's attention. That God is not limited to becoming a burning bush, but because he became a burning bush because he knew he was trying to get Moses' attention. Well, why Moses? Why a burning bush? Well, Moses came from Egypt, and everything that he knew about gods and deities and entities that are bigger than him came from the concept of Egyptian ideology. It came from the recognition of knowing that gods can only reveal themselves when something is placed on altars and consumed with fire. Stay with me here, everybody. That gods can only be seen and recognized when something is consumed by fire. And so if the Most High God is trying to show Moses and trying to reveal to Moses, Moses being the communicator himself, who has the responsibility of communicating the message of God to God's enemies and God's people, you have to be able to understand who I am, Moses. And so Moses, I need you to get it right. And so God chooses a burning bush because Moses, if I'm trying to show you that I'm the one true God, if I'm trying to show you that I'm the most high God, and everything that you know about God is something that is set on fire and consumed, let me show you something that's on fire but not consumed. Let me show you something that you've never seen before, Moses. Let me communicate to you who I am in a way that's so innovative, that's so groundbreaking, that it pushes everything that you see about who God is, everything that you see about who you can be. Communicators, leaders, pastors, I urge you today in this attempt to re-educate ourselves in the areas by which we have been called to do. Remember the great responsibility that you have. You guys are Moses in your own respective fields. You have the burden of revealing the image and the revelation of who God is. And so everything that we do, every way that we should take on this role, should do it and should be with the elevation and the motivation and the excitement of knowing that it's God himself that has given me, equipped me, and allowed me to have the responsibility of being creative, to be my own content creator. Today, my prayer for you is that you shatter the image of what has been done before, that you find ways of doing things that are different, for you to recognize that communications is not about what you just do between the hours of 11 and 1 or 12 and 2 on a Sabbath morning, but it's an opportunity for us to communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ on a Tuesday and on a Thursday, in the morning while people are traveling to work and to school, in the evening while people are scrolling through their phones and going through social media, to be a digital disciple, to have the great responsibility of allowing Jesus to be ever present in every single moment that we have to see him. This is our devotion for today, and we're thankful so much for your attention to this regard. Let's pray one more time. Father, thank you for the great task of being communicators. Thank you so much for blessing us with the responsibility. Equip us, O Lord, now with new ideas, with your vision. Give us the message and how to deliver it, God. And in our weaknesses, because we're Moses, in our weaknesses, in our frailties, in our ability not knowing that we can't do and not being able to do, remind us, God, who we serve. Remind us who made man's mouth. Give us, O Lord, the call and the care and the foresight to do extraordinary things for our local church, for our community, for our conference, for this world. Thank you so much for the privilege, and bless us now as we endeavor to learn more. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, family, we're looking forward to today and what today has to offer. Just a quick couple of things as we transition. You'll see a couple of videos that we have prepared for you just as little tools. And today, because I couldn't get it in as a full-on lesson, I have a little bit of tools on what we can do for church lighting. And I'd like to give you our first little clip and little tips that we have for church lighting. Check it out.
Getting a professional looking video stream is less about the camera you use and more about the lighting. Hi, I'm John with Pro Church Lights, and I'm going to show you how to take your online live stream to the next level. For this tutorial, we'll focus on the 3 basic types of stage lighting: front wash, rear kick, and background light. Here you can see our pastor on stage. He's lit from the front, and we call that the front wash. And when done correctly, the front wash provides a smooth, soft appearance with little to no shadows on the face, along with natural looking skin tones. These fixtures are the number 1 most important light that must be in place to produce a great looking video. I'm going to pause the video right here. You'll notice that there's not a visual separation from the background. We can fix that easily with kick light. So let's fade those up and see what it looks like. There we go. That's much better. These lights are positioned above and to the rear of the stage, and you can see they provide a really nice light around the head and shoulder area, and that's what creates the important separation from the background. And here, when you compare these before and after shots, you can instantly see how this kick light really makes our pastor pop on camera. And it's important to mention that, as with all stage lighting, not all kick lights are the same. You want to make sure that you always choose fixtures that can produce soft and smooth light. Also, I do want to point out something while it's paused here. Notice that this light has a slight blue color tone, and that's because this kick light has a color changing option. And that makes it really easy to create a mood and a nice contrast to the front wash. It gives you a lot of creative control. And now we're going to take this look to another level with the third element: background light. Watch this. We're going to fill in the background a little bit more by fading up these movers on stage. There we go. As you can see here, they provide a nice color and pattern to the background. Makes that shot a lot more interesting. Now in this example, we have haze in the room, and haze can be used in a very subtle way to create an atmosphere. If you haven't experimented with haze, you might consider trying it out. There are many other ways to accomplish interesting background lighting. For example, you can use a wall light, or you can focus some lights on a set piece. And churches can also do really interesting things with LED bars. The point is, no matter what you do, the goal is some sort of visual element that fills the background with additional light. Okay, so let's recap. We have front lights, we have kick lights, and we have background lights. Of course, with any lighting setup, there are other variables to consider, like positioning, intensity, and color temperature. And these are all things we can advise you on here at Pro Church Lights. We offer lighting consulting free of charge. Just reach out to us. We're here to help. We want you to love your lights.
Wonderful. Hope that helped. We have a couple little tips coming for you in the near future. Right now, it is my privilege to bring in and to welcome our keynote speaker for today. Our keynote speaker for today is new relatively to the Northeastern family, but she has been a sister of mine for years. She is the newly appointed director of digital media for the Atlantic Union Conference. And her responsibility now is to do more innovation within the Atlantic Union and to push us forward in trying to do more than just what we do. There is few people that are more qualified than our keynote speaker in this particular area. And I'm excited to introduce her to you, to our Northeastern family, in hopes that you will exchange information with her, allow her to be a resource to you as she continues to do innovative things in the Atlantic Union, and more specifically in the Northeastern Conference. I go a little bit further by saying that she is not just a director of digital media, but she is a wife, and she is a mother of many adorable children. And today she'll be doing a message, or she'll be doing a presentation that's namely on what I forgot the title, toolkits for content creators, if I said that correctly. And I'm looking forward to introducing her. Her name is Chenoa Vilfranc, and I am excited to have my sister here with us. Chenoa, make sure you're off mute so you can say hello to everybody.
I am off
Welcome to
mute.
Northeastern.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
So
It's a
much.
pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So we'll play a quick ad for you, and then the next voice you will hear is that of Mrs. Chenoa Vilfranc.
Hello, Northeastern. Can we help? Are you in need of some spiritual or emotional support? Do you feel empty, alone, lost, misguided? We can help. Introducing the new NEC Health Hotline, available 24/7, with free pastoral and chaplain counseling, prayer, and support. All of our conversations are safe and confidential. So here's the number: 718-223-4940. Again, it's 718-223-4940. Call or leave a message on our hotline, just to talk, and visit our website at www.northeastern.org. We look forward to serving you as we prioritize mental health here in NEC. Call today.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so very much for having me. Again, my name is Chenoa Jimenez Vilfranc, and I am the Director for Digital Media and Technology for our Atlantic Union Territory, which, as you guys know, covers the entire Northeast of our lovely country, all the way from New York City, where Northeastern is definitely one of the center of attractions for our church, the main center of attraction there, actually. And then all the way to, of course, the border of Maine, Canada, and the islands of Bermuda. So I'm so very blessed to be here with you, fellow communicators, those of you who are content creators, as the focus is here today, and more importantly, digital disciples, the ability to evangelize digitally to our audiences, no matter what your focus is or your audience focus is. You are important and you are a tool in God's hands. So we thank you for just being here and for joining this workshop today. I would like to bring greetings and salutations on behalf of our Atlantic Union President, Dr. Pierre E. Omlair, our Executive Secretary, Elder Ted Huskins, and Dr. Elias Sabala, which is our treasurer for the Atlantic Union, as well as our VPs and other directors. We are working diligently at the Atlantic Union office to help support you guys in the field and provide whatever resources you may need to really enhance your ministries for the kingdom of God. A little bit more about me, just so that you know, the name of this workshop today is AI Toolkit for Content Creators, emphasis on AI. Emphasis on AI, which has definitely been a focal point with all of the content and promotions on our media channels and social media platforms. You keep seeing it popping up, and the reality is it's not going anywhere, guys. So we're going to delve into it today, really start to tackle all of some of the advantages, some of the apprehensions. We'll talk about that in a moment. And just so that you know a little bit more about me, I of course, studied internet marketing with Full Sail University, received my master's there several years ago, and have continued my studies and work after FSU, continued to work with multi-billion-dollar real estate companies and higher education organizations, and so blessed to work with different NPOs as well as our religious NPO, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, to enhance communication to the world in various ways. And so I decided to focus in this workshop on this AI toolkit for you guys, in particular because to date, I have not seen, I think all of us, we haven't seen anything like this. AI is definitely revolutionizing not just how we create content, it's revolutionizing our world as we know it. There are so many ways in which we use AI every day, whether we realize it or not. And that is, I think, both the scary as well as I think the encouraging side of AI. Many of us are thinking that it's much like the movie Terminator. It's robots are going to take over our society as we know it, but in reality, we're using it every time we use voice commands on our phone. Every time we're scrolling through social media and the algorithm points certain advertisements that we may have been looking at prior back to us, and they're in our feed. In our fraud protection at our bank, that's all AI. Everything, almost every interaction is automated through artificial intelligence. So let's dive in. Right before I do that, I want to say a special thank you to Duddley Francois, especially for your devotional thought this morning. It was a true blessing to me. And that's exactly what we are going to endeavor to do as Moses through your devotional thought. We're going to endeavor to push the boundaries. We're going to endeavor to allow God to be God, bigger than we even can conceive that he is, and to reveal to us who he is and therefore who we are in him. So for many of us, AI seems is a friend that is somewhat misunderstood, let's say. Some of us are very skeptical, wondering if it's going to, in a lot of ways, align with our values, even our values as Christians, as Seventh-day Adventists, and just as an individual. Is this something that I want to be involved in, that I want to represent me in any way? Is this just a fleeting fad that will go away? Well, I want to reassure you again, it's not going to replace you. You are irreplaceable. If you were not irreplaceable, God would not have come to die for us. Therefore, we know that we are irreplaceable in God's eyes, and he has given us dominion over this earth. All right. So, in giving us dominion over this earth, AI is also underneath our dominion. Therefore, it is not a fad. It is not going to go away, but it is here to enhance our human experience, and definitely here to help us to become a powerful ally as content creators. It can help us understand our audience's loves. It can manage tedious tasks, as many of you have may already experimented with. It can spark creativity and take care of writer's block for many of us when we are challenged with how to construct our thoughts and convey these messages through our digital platforms. It is not taking the paintbrush out of our hands, but rather it is simply adding more colors to our palette, allowing us to do more creative and expansive things right within our own immediate toolkit without having to go out and implore additional help sometimes. So it is really here to expand what we can do. For those of us here who, of course, our faith-based perspective, AI might seem like science without a soul, or very haunting in a sense, but I really urge you to think of it as your toolkit, just as the printing press took out everything being written by hand on papyrus, and just as the internet, which initially was introduced as this worldwide weapon that could be weaponized, bringing signal into every house, no wires, these things. And there was apprehension around that. There was apprehension around going from film to digital photography with video and cinema. And there was a lot of resistance there. They couldn't imagine going digitally within the motion picture industry, but look at it now. So in the same vein, AI is here to help enhance. We're going to go ahead on to the next slide and ask the question. So AI, what is it? Artificial intelligence. Who, what, when, where, why, how, what, all these questions that we have. But I want to urge you that with all things, God says, get wisdom and get understanding. You can see the verse on the next slide. And as you get wisdom, my child, neither let it decline do not decline from the words of my mouth, okay? It will preserve you. So while you are getting wisdom, also gain understanding. So that is precisely what we're going to do today. We're going to begin to shift our way of looking at AI towards applying wisdom, the fear of God as we use it, gathering understanding, which is the knowledge of the Almighty, and utilize it to impart that knowledge to our audiences and support our mission as digital disciples for God. AI is simply a reflection of our intelligence and our creativity, okay? The creations that come out of us inspired from God are then imparted into the digital realm. It is a bridge. It is not a barrier for those of you who may have thought of it that way. And I'm here to help today to guide in that journey as we pray that it uplifts you. So stay open, I urge you, to the possibilities of what AI can do as we go through this workshop. I want you to remember that it is part of your toolkit now for expanding the kingdom of God. So please advance to the next slide. There are four components here that I want you to bear in mind that we're going to cover today. And these components are universal. They are transferable. As I go through them, you should be able to apply these components with this AI toolkit to whatever type of content you are creating for God, through your business endeavors as an individual content creator. These are immutable and they will allow you to remain relevant no matter your audience and no matter the format of your content, whether you are creating just simple social media posts, whether you are producing a podcast, whether you are streaming on YouTube, whether you are creating an ebook. These are immutable components that you're going to carry with you as we go forth. And the first of these, as you will see on our next slide, is your story. And your story begins, our story, I will say, our story really begins in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28. If you'll go back, we'll take a look at that verse. And it says, and God said, let us make man in our own image. And in his likeness created he man and woman. Okay. Next week, I am so blessed to be a part, looking forward, just want to remind you guys, looking forward to the School of Evangelism through the Atlantic Union Conference. And next week, I will dive much deeper into this topic, breaking down God's multiplication principles and that digital disciple certification training next Sunday around this same time. And I go very in depth into the laws of increase that create multiplication that God has placed around us and in us at the very inception of creation. But just to give you a quick synopsis of how this all begins, it begins with story, and it begins right here. And the very statement that I said earlier, remembering that AI is a reflection of the intelligence and the creativity, and the creation that carries our values. That is precisely what God did here at the beginning of creation. First, He began with a thought: I'm lonely. I'm lonely. Let us make man in our image. Okay. And from there, that thought then sparked or fed action. Okay. And the action was, I'm going to form man, I'm going to breathe into him my very breath, and he will become a living soul. And that living soul is created in our image, the very reflection of God Himself. Now, that in and of itself is mind-boggling, that God would create us literally to reflect, to be reciprocal, a reciprocatory reflection of who He is, and then disseminate that into the world. And we are His creation. We're going to do exactly that. Okay. We are going to reflect, we're going to impart the very same thing. We're going to begin our story with a very thought, the ideas that come into our minds. Okay. These ideas that perhaps someone near you may observe, you being good at something, or you having a special gift in a certain area, and they impart this idea to you, and you say, wow, that really does sound like me. Let me act on that. Okay. Your story begins there. Your story begins there. And from there, you will then take action. You will then take action, and you will begin to share that story with those around you. The very first thing before you share that story is to clarify it. How do we clarify our story? We put our story to paper. We're going to write it down. On the very next slide, you will see, as God's word says, write the vision and make it plain in Habakkuk 2:2, that they may run and not faint. Okay. Or in other words, that we may carry forth the correct message. Okay. So it's not just important that you write your story for everyone else, but it is equally as important that you first begin by writing your story down for yourself. It has to be clear to you before anybody else is going to understand it, or be inspired by it, or even count it as authentic. When you know who you are in God, your story will come forth authentically. We gain our identity from that very beginning of creation. We are the reflection of the Godhead. All right. We are a reflection of God Himself. His image is in us. And when we go back to Him, He clarifies to us who we are, what our story is. And He is therefore then able to encourage us, edify us, and solidify within us a confidence of who we are in Him. And that is what's translated through our story as authenticity. That is what resonates with others as they hear it, and they're able to say, wow, this person's this person's words, this person's story, how they have communicated this really resonates with me, really has made an impact. And therefore they will begin to like, and to comment, and to even say, I will follow you. I will follow your story, because I'm buying into what you are communicating. I am impacted by your story, the way that you communicate you and the God through you. And it is therefore, that is then the response that we're seeking. We want them to follow, whether it is our testimony for the glory of Christ, whether it is our simple hobbies that are also a testament to who God is, our gifts, all of these things. In all these things, we are to be able to point back to God and give glory to Him. So it begins right there with your story. You're going to write it down, okay? And you're going to use the power of your words clearly to impact your audiences. As we advance to the next slide, here is where AI is going to be able to enhance that story for you. It is right here, you can see that we are, I have an example of Bing or chat, one version of chat AI, chat GBT, and I gave it a prompt. I said, I would like you to provide me with a response for grace, someone struggling with sin and understanding grace and mercy, and how to have faith through that. And it quickly gave me back. Let us then approach God's throne. I asked it for a simple social media caption, and based on this verse of grace and Hebrews 4:10, and it gave me a full caption right through, of course, being ChatGPT. This is easily downloadable through your phone. The app is right there through the App Store, and you can begin seamlessly through its Copilot. Copilot it is called, to then produce quick captions. Easily and without any struggle, you can save time in creating social media captions for your content and beyond. It doesn't stop with social media captions. Your story will be enhanced colorfully. You can give it descriptions as to the voicing that you wanted to have, whether formal, whether professional, whether narrative, whatever your description you want it to be. I told it to also include high performing religious hashtags in there, and it did. It popped it right in. So here in the next slide, you see that I then gave it a prompt for an ebook. Okay, I took that same topic and I said, I'd like you to now develop this into an ebook. Now, be careful with your prompts, because sometimes when using AI with ChatGPT, if you give it too much of a broad prompt or something that is a full comprehensive project, there are platforms that can handle that. But as for the more consumer facing ChatGPT apps like Bing and others, or just the regular ChatGPT that many of you know, you'll have to break it down into sort of bite-sized components. So here I broke it down. I said, at first it said, oh, I can't pump out a whole ebook. I said, okay, that's fine. Will you please then write an introductory paragraph, again, on the same topic on grace. And I asked it to then draw the contrast between grace versus presumptuous sin. And it responded right away, as you can see. It said, this is a wonderful topic. And it began to provide me with words, with a pathway, an outline for the story that you can then turn into content for your audiences. Okay, so that is just one tool there. As you begin to share this story authentically with others, it will enhance your words, it will provide direction and outline there. And of course, it needs your supervision. You need to then edit it. You need to then reconstruct it to make it more authentic to you and what you're trying to communicate directly to your audience. As we heard through our devotional, it is important that you make sure that it remains aligned to your core message, okay, so that you can connect with your audience properly there. So now our next component is audience. Audience. Audience is often a question that some, as content creators, it can be forgotten, but it needs to remain at the forefront of your mind as you begin and as you continue to develop your messaging and your ministry. Who am I really talking to here? Who do I really want this particular post, these images, this book, whatever it may be, this podcast? Who do I really want this to connect with? And is my target audience youth? Is it the youth of our church? Is my target audience with this particular post the seniors of our church? Is it, do I have a diverse cross-generational audience here at the Union? I have such a broad audience when sharing content on our social platforms, I have to bear in mind that it is a multi-generational audience, people coming from all walks of life, all ethnicities, multiple states, different professions, educational backgrounds. So you really have to bear in mind who is your audience. And as you consider who your audience is, you also want to consider the platform. Okay. You want to consider your platform. Audiences, of course, are diverse, as I said, and different platforms, different social media platforms are now curtailed towards certain audience groups. So, for example, we all know that TikTok is exploding, and it is exploding with a younger generation. Now, the majority of our tweens and our teens, and even our young adults, will spend a lot of time on TikTok. And then you have more of a mixed young adult, then into mature professional adults on Instagram. And then you have a similar and then a aging community of our seniors and older members of our church who are still very comfortable with our Facebook platforms, which is still performing very well. So you really have to consider, and then of course you have sites like YouTube that cater to everyone. Now it's divided into channels and what that content really reflects. So you're going to want to consider who your audience is, dial in to who they are and how they communicate, and then really begin to study how they want to be communicated to. Okay. This is going to help you engage, engage with them, as we call. So, engagement, as we say in digital media and content creation, you will begin to not only watch and listen to how they communicate, you're going to like their responses, of course, you're going to follow, you're going to comment wherever possible, and you are also going to include a call to action wherever appropriate. Or, in other words, you're basically going to make clear to them the action, of course, that you want them to take. Do you want them to sign up for this seminar or this webinar? You make clear to them that that's what you want them to do. If you want them to comment on the spiritual scripture that you've just shared, you make clear to them that that's what you want them to do. Sign up for Bible studies, whatever it is. You want them to convert and make an actual monetary purchase or register for a convention. Make very clear and easy how they can access all of this information. Again, AI is your social media content creation tool in this venue as well with your audience. And there are a plethora of tools, AI enabled, that can allow you to do what we call social listening. These are social listening tools. So basically, platforms like Brand Mention, Answer to the Public, Google Alerts, very simple, free of charge. You'll see Mention, Twilert, Hootsuite. All of these platforms are available to you. Some of them have free accounts. Some of them are budget friendly in some cases. And what you can do from these platforms is social listening through these AI tools. You'll listen to the conversations and pay attention to the thread feeds or what have you with that your audience is communicating back to you or amongst each other. And from there, you will get indicators of how to proceed, what's working, what's not working. They'll tell you what they like. They're telling each other what they like. They're resharing it. So you're going to begin to pay attention to these things, which then feeds into component number 3, which is analytics. And analytics is a very important component. Many of us as communicators, digital media and communication directors, in my case, internet marketers and digital media and technology directors, we have learned now the importance of analytics. Basically, we're looking at the insights. We're looking at the data, the numerical data that shows us exactly what our audience is doing and why it's doing it. Okay. You can basically see how long they're on the page, how many times they clicked your post. Did did they convert to the next call to action that you wanted from them? And there are different ways that you can pay attention and review your analytics. For some of us, we can you can just see it simply through your phone. If you're on Instagram, for example, you can scroll down to the reel, the post, and you'll see a little indicator in the reel that basically says insights. You want to keep your eye on the insights. You want to keep your eye on who's watching, who's liking, the brands that keep coming back, the pages that keep coming back, those who are mentioning and resharing your content. We're going to pay attention to those analytics. We want to pay attention to who's following off, who's falling off, who's unfollowing, all of these things, and who is following, who has begun to follow, and what is the reach of their influence. Okay, so these are some of the things that you're going to bear in mind, in the front of mind, as you evaluate your analytics. Another way that you can take a look at your analytics free of charge, there are, of course, tools like Hootsuite and others, and that they will charge to share the analytics, the back end analytics. But there are so many free tools now between Google Analytics and platforms like Facebook Meta Business Suite. So in this next slide, I believe I included. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't think I see it there, but I believe you can see the back end of the Business Meta Suite. And in the Business Meta Suite, you can go right into that Meta Suite, and what it will allow you then to do, if you go under Insights, it will literally show you your last. You can adjust the parameter of the days of how far back you want to go. But by default, I believe it does about a 28-day back review of your performance on your platforms. Now, it will merge for you if you have an Instagram linked to your Facebook. It will merge those insights together so that you can track both free of charge right there on the back end. And you can definitely, again, see how much engagement has happened, how much reach each post has had, how many follows, how many clicks, has your click rate gone up or down? So these are things that you want to pay attention to as you begin to really track the analytics of your various social media platforms. And it's the same thing on YouTube and other platforms as well. Again, this is important because you are social listening. You are paying attention to the activity and the desires of your audience, which we want to connect with, okay? Which we want to make sure that the content that we are giving them about Christ and other areas of their lives that they desire Him to touch and need enhancement in, that it is relevant to them and that it's making an impact. So from there, we're going to take a look at the next component, and I'm going to literally now shower you guys in this final component with a number of different AI tools that's going to help you. Again, this fourth component, all of these components are transferable. They are universal. They apply to whatever content that you are creating. So after you have given them your story, after you have now identified your audience, you have begun to track your analytics, you are going to, through that story, begin to enhance your content with AI through graphics and sound and imagery. Of course, of course, video is included in there. So the first tool that I want you to see is, for those of you who don't know that Facebook now has its own AI image generator, is image.meta.com. So AI is now basically doing image generation just from words. Simple, you go to this free website platform and just pop in your prompt For me, I believe the prompt that I put in was a man sitting on a mountain with a back silhouette of a man praying on a mountain ridge with the sun gently rising over a beautiful valley. Okay. And I told it to create this image with a cinematic, realistic style. And you can see right here what it popped back to me in less than, I don't even think it took 30 seconds. And then it gives you about 4 variations for whatever prompt you have put in. So again, we have all seen AI generate images. It is another platform, another free tool that you can access. Simple, it's right there at your fingertips. You can use it. If you cannot find the exact image that you're looking for, you can try out this image generator. It is not the only image generator. You guys know that. The Copilot that I showed you earlier through Bing, it actually has a more robust image generator. Before I go on to Jasper, it actually has a more robust image generator than the image.meta. I find it is definitely more detailed and comprehensive and more accurate with what it gives you back as an image generator. So you can also try, again, the Bing app and its image generator through there. The next AI tool for creating this imagery, for enhancing your story, we're going to take a look at a platform called Jasper. It's a popular AI content generator for businesses that basically allows you to create a variety of content for marketing. And it dials in more specifically to the verbal side or to the word side, the storytelling side of your content. So social media posts, but again, longer form now. We're talking about articles, we're talking about emails, we're talking about ads, we're talking about maybe even reports. It will allow you to really do more expansive content in terms of copy or in terms of word content than any of these other brief chat GBT platforms, and it can do it in multiple languages. It will then translate your copy in up to 29 languages. So that's Jasper. You can check that out. And right following that, you have Murph. Now, Murph is an AI tool for content creation that will allow you to now create engaging podcasts and audiobooks with ease. Okay. You can basically simply type in your text on a platform like Murph AI, and it's going to give you back your ebook. It's going to give you back your podcast in a natural sounding voice with accents, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can add in music, you can add in sound effects, you can add in sound design, all of these, and as well as transitions right there in the Murph AI tool. This is, for those of you who haven't heard of it, those of you who may already be using it, again, all of these tools are game changers for us as content creators, for these projects that have often caused us to have very sizable teams, okay? Now it can be dialed back a bit. I still believe that a team is the best way to go. We were not made to stand alone. That's why the Bible says 2 is better than 1, and a 3-fold cord is seldom broken, okay? However, these tools are now allowing us to streamline a lot of our workflow and therefore provide more comprehensive content to our audiences. So that's Murph AI. Again, it's going to help you with engaging your audience through podcasts and audiobooks, ease of use there. Now, the next one, we're going to hop on over to Canva, which many of you know. So many of us have used Canva, but now Canva is doing a little bit more, and they're going to continue to keep evolving. Canva refuses to stay in the background as far as, it's going to be a trailblazer as far as AI is concerned. If Canva cannot literally program it into its platform itself. It has partnered with so many other apps to bring in AI technology for your creation right there within the app now. So, in addition to interactive presentations and all these other things, as you can see on the screen, Canva is now doing text, not just text to image, but now text to video. So I don't know if any of you have played with text to video here on the Canva platform, but I was playing with it literally on my cell phone the other day. I was like, this is kind of cool. Okay, you again can just pop in the prompt for your image, whatever it is that you want it to generate. It can first generate the image itself, and then you can select create video. And from there, here, my simple prompt was, I would like you to, I want to see a bird feeding her chicks in a tree, in in her nest in a tree. And here is what it gave me back. At first, I didn't like the first video, and then this one I feel, and I'm not a huge fan of this one. However, I do love where it's going when you consider that these are the advances that AI has made within a year's time. When AI first came out, it looked like some foreign thing that we literally thought wouldn't advance maybe for the next 2, 3, 4 years. It needed more time, but in less than a year's time, AI has made so many advances in helping us as content creators that now, if you're not paying close attention, you may not be sure whether you're actually looking at a real video or whether you're watching AI. So in this one, you can see some of the distortion, and I will point it out because AI is not perfect. And again, that is why we are here. You need a human monitor, right? You are the creative. You are the one giving the prompts. You are the source of the ideas that AI is generating. So you're going to pay attention to these little details, see what's usable, and discard what's not. In this case, you'll take a look at the wings of the bird, and you can sort of see that it's a little distorted. It gets kind of weird, and at one point, mommy's sort of turning her head, and things sort of disappear in and out of the image. So AI, this particular tool, is struggling a little bit here. But I will say that I created one the other day of, I believe, just a man walking down a city street with a satchel on his arm, and it did not try to animate, it did not try to turn him into video, but everything in the background was moving, and it moved normally, and he was a still shot. And I thought, again, this is really interesting, very cool feature that we can find multiple uses for as content creators, as we tell our story, as we minister to our audiences in various ways. So we then move to our final two AI tools that just get bigger and more expansive, and really important when it comes to being able to generate content in large quantities. And for us as communicators with the church, we are required to generate content in large quantities, okay? Insatiable quantities. And when you give your audiences, they just want more, especially if you're giving good content, okay? It is never ending. And the audiences aren't satisfied. They want to come back tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that with new content. So Opus Clip is another platform, clip.opus.pro. Obviously, I have the pro account. For some of you, there is a free account. I would suggest that if you do use the free account, try to include shorter clip content video when you want it to adapt. So whatever video into shorter portions. So Opus Clip is basically a powerhouse for video content creators. It offers a suite of features that allow you to streamline your video editing and process videos into smaller chunks, okay? It's going to allow you it is, of course, again, AI driven. It identifies compelling moments in your video, okay, your long form video, and then it creates shorter clips, basically reels, in many ways, reels that are then scored for virality. Okay. It'll give you a virality scoring, basically letting you know the potential, um, its potential for going viral on your various platforms if it will perform well as best content. As you can see here, the other day, I was just creating a plate of, I was playing around with a plate of vegan pancakes, with, with all the toppings, and pop this in for you guys to see how it would come back. I would say the original video was about maybe 2 minutes, and Opus Clip popped it back with two top clips that it thought I could use, and there is the virality scoring that it felt this particular clip would get an 84 basically out of 100. So you can, and I've gotten, there are higher scores. You can get, 100%, 97%. I've seen those, 94%, what have you. You can basically take your content and now drop it instead of you sitting there going through the editing process of cutting clips and seeing what works well, what have you. If you have a pretty good streamlined capture, it's going to find that focal point, especially if you have a guest speaker, for example, a pastor speaking or what have you. It's going to find that segment. It's going to identify the language, what it's saying, and it's going to help you decide without you having to do the heavy lifting if that particular segment of the video, what it's saying is going to have a better impact, a large impact on your audience. You can then add emojis, you can add subtitles, you can change the design of those subtitles, all of these things here that will basically allow you to just release, download, and pretty much keep going. So with one long form video, and maybe about how long did it take? If I waited, sometimes it can take a little long depending on the length of your video, but 5, 6, 12 minutes, 10 minutes if it's really long form. But basically, you can get back multiple clips with ease of use and save yourself what might have taken you an hour or two to basically go through and construct and then put in your subtitles and all those things. So that is Opus Clip for you. Actually, right before Opus Clip, I don't think I added a slide, but I do want to mention Descript to you guys. So many of you are already using Descript. Descript is an AI powerhouse, again, editor that automatically will transcribe your audio on your video recordings for you. So let's say that you have this webinar, for example, recorded, and you now want to transcribe everything that I'm saying. You pop the video into Descript. It's going to pop back for you a full VO script of what was said here. And let's say that we wanted to re-record this. You can now edit that VO. You can now use that script and translate it into multiple languages for podcasting, for other content creation. And it does so much more, so much more. I would love for you guys to check out Descript. It's now even doing eye focusing for you. So for example, let's say that it really wants me to look directly into my camera the entire time, but I may be off reading a teleprompter off to the side here. Descript, you can record the whole thing with your eyes off of focus and pop it into Descript, and the entire time AI will make it so that your presenter's eyes are fully focused on the camera as though it was recorded like that. And that's just the beginning of what a lot of these tools are doing. So definitely, if you have not already taken advantage of Opus Clip and Descript, please check those out. And then last but not least, I want to
Hey there.
introduce you.
Welcome to this video where we're going to delve into the exciting world of AI and its benefits across various industries. Now, if you're a bit skeptical about AI, don't worry, you're not alone. But let me tell you, AI has
Let's
some
start it
incredible
one more time.
advantages that we simply can't ignore. Firstly, let's talk about avatars.
Okay, so this
Hey
is
there.
AI generated videos. Go ahead.
Hey there. Welcome to this video where we're going to delve into the exciting world of AI and its benefits across various industries. Now, if you're a bit skeptical about AI, don't worry, you're not alone. But let me tell you, AI has some incredible advantages that we simply can't ignore. Firstly, let's talk about avatars. These virtual representations of ourselves come in handy for those who are camera shy or prefer to keep their identity private. In fact, the avatar you see in this video right now is powered by AI. It's mind-boggling and a little bit disturbing, but undeniably cool. Imagine the time and resources you can save by letting AI create multiple video versions of yourself without the hassle of setting up cameras, lighting, or even getting ready. All you have to do is provide a voiceover script, and AI takes care of the rest, including generating your virtual self. But wait, there's more. AI can also assist you in creating the voiceover script itself. No more guesswork or spending hours on preparing your content. With AI, you can minimize errors, reduce editing time, and streamline your video production process. It's like having a production team right at your fingertips. And if that's not enough, AI can even help you translate your videos into over 100 languages. Just imagine the global reach your content can have with the click of a button. Whether you choose to use an avatar, an AI clone of yourself, or simply be your authentic self, these tools are here to maximize your impact, not just in business or entertainment, but also in fulfilling your calling and reaching out to your audience. Simply with the click of a button, your AI avatar will translate your script into your desired language.
Como, que Dios te bendiga. Que Dieu te bénisse.
Giang sang bòi nờ.
Möge Gott dich segnen. Que Deus te abençoe.
So, are you convinced yet? It's time to embrace the power of AI and start leveraging these incredible tools. Let's get to work and explore the endless possibilities together. You're in the driver's seat. So let's go.
So guys, as you can see, if you have not already played around, that was the platform HeyGen and Synthesia. We now have platforms like that that will generate completely AI avatars for you, complete AI avatars for your voice scripts for the church. I love it. Someone's saying I use avatars to do voiceover scripts for our announcements in church and social media platforms at times. Very informative. Thank you, Kefian. This is where we are now, guys. And this is only the beginning. This is within 1 year. So I want to urge us, if you are apprehensive, lay apprehension aside. Go into your prayer closet and allow God to show you how, if and how He wants you to leverage these tools to glorify Him. Imagine for a moment what we go through in terms of providing different moderators in different languages for our church audiences. I know just right here at the Union, we have at least 6 to 8 languages that we tend to need to translate into between African ministries and Haitian ministries and Portuguese and Hispanic ministries and now Chinese and Asian ministries, and the list goes on, in addition to English and others. So right here, you now have a platform. You can take the same VO script, you can translate it in any of these AI tools, whether Descript, whether Synthesia, whether HeyGen, whether even Google Translate, allow Google Translate to translate for you, pop in your VO script, and now you have an AI avatar that can provide trainings, seminars, no lighting setup, no studio setup. Here you now have the opportunity for a full library of content, quickly, rapidly generated for your audiences in order to train digital disciples in an army for God. And that's just the beginning of what it could potentially do. So I just want to encourage you guys again, this is your toolkit. The list goes on and on. I probably have, honestly, maybe 20 to 30 of these that I could share, but there's just not enough time. What I am going to do, however, You guys, at the end, you will see our I'm a Believer Share Your Why promotional flyer, which is the campaign that is going on right now through the Atlantic Union. I'm asking you guys, what will you create? What will you create through these AI tools? How will you leverage them? And if you scan that QR code, maybe just with your phone really quickly, if you have it at hand, if you're on a desktop or otherwise, or you can go to our Atlantic Union Gleaner Instagram or Atlantic Union social conference social Facebook page. You will see this flyer there. You will see the link in bio where you can scan that QR code and sign up for this campaign. Okay. And this basically will allow you to participate, to be a digital disciple, and to evangelize digitally, as we heard earlier, on a Tuesday, on a Thursday. We don't have to wait till Friday and Sabbath to share our faith. We could be sharing our faith while we're riding on the bus. We can be sharing our faith with a little word of encouragement during our lunch break. Wherever it is, people are constantly in need of an encouraging word, to hear a word from God. And if God is speaking to you, why not share those words with others and give them life and encouragement? So go ahead and scan that QR code. And what that will allow you to do is sign up for our campaign all through February. February is almost over. March and April, you as a digital evangelist through the Atlantic Union can share on your platforms, on your personal platforms, what God is doing for you. I'm a Believer Share Your Why. It could be your testimony. It could just be an encouraging text message, an encouraging post or message to your audiences. If you sign up for this week, I'll be sending you out the entire list of all of these AI tools and then some, okay? You will have a PDF that you can download so that you can reference all of these. So that way you don't have to worry about how well you took notes or didn't take notes or what have you. It's all going to be in our, this week's newsletter for the digital disciples coming out from my department. So you'll have all these tools, their websites to reference that you can go back to and try out and begin to implore into your content creation journey. Again, remember that these are transferable components that you need to carry with you as you continue to share your story and minister to our audiences, those who believe and those who may be non-believers. I'll say this really quickly because it is a passion of my heart that we are working on here through my department at the Union. The Atlantic Union has the highest number of post-Christians in the United States, the Atlantic Union Territory. What does that mean? That means all the way from New York State to the border of Canada and then over to Bermuda. Our research has shown through our universities that the most people who say they either don't believe in God, that God doesn't exist, or they're agnostic or used to believe, they don't believe anymore, they reside right here within the Atlantic Union. For me, that's heartbreaking. That is astonishing. And it is a shame. And we have to be louder for God. We have to begin to resound the hope that we say that we have, resound the love that we say that we have, and give it to them on every platform, every opportunity that we have to share with others that God is real, that we believe in Him, okay, and what He has done for us, the peace, the joy, the healing that He has provided for us. And the only way that they're going to come to know Him is through the blood of the Lamb and through the word of our testimony, through our story. So here is your opportunity, not only through the campaign, but to take your AI toolkit now and apply it and encourage your audiences. You guys are the spearheaders within your churches. We rely on you guys in a lot of ways, from the union to the conference level communication directors. We're now looking to you guys in the local churches to disseminate the message, to tell them about it this Sabbath, to put it in your bulletins, to put it on your social platforms, to encourage your young people to take the trainings, to make sure that they're encouraged to be there next Sunday to become trained digital disciples. It is in your hands now to put the word out, please, and share with them so that those who say they don't believe can get to know the real and true living God, the God who can make all of their worries a mute point, and to bring them the joy and the hope that we have. So I encourage you again to take these tools. Thank you so much for listening. Leverage these as you go forth, sharing hope and love and enriching the lives of those around you. And once again, remember, you're in the driver's seat for AI. You are the creator. You are the thought, the inception, the spark begins with you, because it is in you that God placed it. He didn't place it in AI. So anything that it brings forth, it's going to be a reflection of you. And as long as you're reflecting God, it will reflect God to your audiences. Thank you for listening, and be blessed.
Oh, I mean, this was fantastic. To
Okay.
understand the opportunities, that we have with AI and what you can do now to do
Insane.
simple videos in simple time and express the gospel truth is absolutely amazing. There is a question right here about where is that flyer. So you can find that flyer on Northeastern's platform. We have it already shared on Atlantic Union's platform, social media platform, so you can share that. If you need it specifically, contact me. Let me know. I will send you a copy of that flyer so we can send those things out and make sure that everyone becomes a digital disciple. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now,
So that it's that flyer, and then there's also a formal digital disciple training that I will be conducting through the School of Evangelism next Sunday. Same time, through the School of Evangelism platform, Atlantic-Union.org. You can go to our events page and you can register there for that training through the upcoming events tab there. And you'll be able to, the link will come right to your inbox, and you'll literally be a certified digital disciple through the NAD by the end of my training next week, to go forth and be counted.
fantastic. Now, there might be some questions that people have. We have about a couple of minutes. What I want you to do for everybody who's watching, just type in your questions in the comment section really quickly. We'll try our best to get a couple of questions in. As you write these questions down, just take a look at this next video on lighting, church lighting, and we'll come back with some question and answers real quick.
One of the questions we get most often from pastors, worship directors, and production teams all over the country is, how many lights do I need to light my church stage? We're going to unpack that right here, right now. Hi there, I'm Gabe Johannes with Pro Church Lights, and today I want to help you find the key items that are going to make the wash on your stage as good as it can be. So let's dive in, and the first thing we're going to answer is, how many lights do I need to light my stage? The determining factors here are stage width, depth, and ceiling height. And it's important as well to use the correct fixture type and power output for the job. So look, I'm not saying you've ever done this before, but one thing we see at churches all the time is the use of one of these three lights in their front stage wash. So first we have the big boy LED par cam. It doesn't use a lot of power, and it is pretty bright, but unfortunately, it is way too blue. Look at intern Carl up there. Yep, worshiping away, looking like a giant smurf. It is not ideal. Next, we have this mini LED par. It has a similar problem. Uses very little power, which is nice, but it has a giant hotspot, which means Carl now looks like a bright blueberry. Looking good, Carl! Really? No! Finally, we have the World War II era Par 64. It uses 3 times as much power as the fixture that we like, which is the Pro Wash Max. And it has a massive spot in the middle that is super bright, where the edges of the field are kind of dim. That's okay. Nope, not good again. Move back, please. Okay. For these reasons, we recommend the Pro Wash Max fixture. It has a very even beam of light, and we guarantee that your worship leader or pastor won't look like a smurf. To figure out how many lights you're going to need, measure your stage width, stage depth, and ceiling height, or how high the lights will be off the ground. Once you do that, match your width measurements as follows. If your stage is 6 to 8 feet wide, you'll need 1 to 2 fixtures. 8 to 12 feet wide, 2 fixtures. 12 to 14, 3 to 4 fixtures. Anywhere from 14 to 20 feet wide, 4 to 6 fixtures. From 20 to 32, 6 to 8 fixtures. Now, all of these numbers are just ballpark figures. There are some factors like sunlight or potentially oddly shaped stages that might change the number of fixtures that you're going to need. We'd love to talk to you about how the best way is for you to get the stage lights you need for your church.
So we definitely want to thank Pro Church Lights for these wonderful tips during our communication workshop today. Just mindful of how our churches are looking and how it'll be able to be illuminated even better. All right, so I'm going to bring back Chenoa. We got some questions that are here. The first one that I think is important is, could you post links or send out all of these tool links? How do we find these AI tools? Is there something compact that you could send out? Maybe we can send out this presentation if that's all right with you.
I'll be sending out these tool links via the email list. So as I mentioned at the end, if you register, basically to get it, you need to register for the Digital Disciple, not the Digital Disciple Challenge, forgive me, that's something else, but you need to register for the I'm a Believer, Share Your Why campaign, okay? So I am imploring you guys, literally like little breadcrumbs. Come on. Yeah, come sign up. And this week it will be in the newsletter. You will get the full list of everything there. So yes, you have to convert. Yes, you have to make a commitment. If you want the tools, you have to make the commitment. Come on into the fold, sign up, and we'll send that right to your inbox. You'll have these and all of the additional ones that I didn't get to cover right there for you to access.
Fantastic. Quickly, I can answer this question. Will we be able to rewatch the presentations? Absolutely. Even right now, we are not only on our webinar, but this is being streamed on Lighthouse Media Studios YouTube channel. So the conferences media portion, which is called Lighthouse Media Studios, it is being streamed right now via that platform. So you can go back and watch this entire presentation and all the other presentations on Lighthouse Media Studios. Just search Lighthouse Media Studios on YouTube and you will find it, and hopefully you will subscribe and continue to watch more of our content. All right, this last question is a good one. It's a real good one. Chenoa, how can we convert our congregation that is more traditional in thinking to move into the new era of digital technology and digital ministry? Take it away.
Listen, education and exposure. Okay, so one of the reasons that our country has stayed stagnated for so many years is because education has been stifled in certain corners, and we didn't want to intermingle or expose each other to new things and different cultures and languages and all these things. But the more you are exposed, the more you are cultured, the more you are informed, and the more you are open to embracing new ideas and new concepts, not contrary to the Word of God, but just things that you might have never tried before because of fear, because of apprehension, because of just not knowing, right? Or maybe not even knowing that they were accessible to you. So we are the communicators in the room. We are the ones who are to instruct them. Now that you have these resources, make them available to your local church. A lot of the young people who came to the Youth Congress in January through the Atlantic Union Youth Department, we did trainings there, and many of them were a part of the communication teams out in the field. But when they sat in our trainings, they were like, wow, these resources are really helpful. I did not know this. Thank you. Wow, I can use this now. So really, it's about just empowering our members, letting them know what is here, allowing them to have the conversations that say, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that. I was afraid, but then again, exactly what I did here, reassuring them, trust me, you're already using AI. whether you realize it or
Whether
not.
you realize it
Okay.
or not, right?
Whether you realize it or not, you are literally bathing in it. Okay. So now it's really about removing the denial, okay, taking the blinders off and finding where your niche is, where you're comfortable with the parameters of using it. And that doesn't mean that you have to go and make an avatar of yourself tomorrow. No, you don't have to do that. But maybe you might want some help again with the simple things, just creating a caption or an image that you're looking for, whatever it might be, or translating some speech or something that you want to share, maybe at the announcements for church. Maybe there's a multicultural day and you want to announce you want people want to do the announcements or the welcome in multiple languages. Send them to Descript. Send them to these
Yeah.
platforms where they can now they feel empowered, and are comfortable with using AI within their parameters to then slowly become more knowledgeable and familiar and equipped, through these tools. So I believe that it definitely begins there. And the more you use it and you show them that it's not this taboo thing, I believe the more not just popular but more acceptable it will be.
Fantastic. Well, we want to thank you on behalf of the entire Northeastern Conference. We want to thank you so much for your willingness to be with us. I know it won't be the first or it won't be the last time we will see you. You are introduced to our entire Northeastern family. How do people get in contact with you? How do they reach you? What's your email? How do we get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So I can be easily reached right through our website, our staff page. You can go to the digital media and technology page on atlantic-union.org, and you will see my staff picture along with all the staff. And our names are also our email addresses. So if you click our names, it's going to open up an email message directly to me, and you can email me directly from there. For those of you who don't want to go that far, it's simply cvilfranc at atlantic-union.org.
Right.
And it's also digital media at atlantic-union.org. So if you want to just email digital media at atlantic-union.org, you can also connect with me that way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chenoa, for everything that you continue to do. God bless you really good. And say goodbye to our
Thank you.
Northeastern family.
Bye. Love you guys. I'm originally a Northeastern baby. He didn't tell you guys that. Born and raised. So it's nice to be home with you guys.
Amen. Praise the Lord. All right, guys. We are moving on. We are moving on now to a little bit of a break, but if you were not here in the beginning of our workshop this morning, we had an itinerary set up, and right now we are going to give a little bit of a break time until 1 o'clock where we do some breakout webinars. So if you have an opportunity to stretch, get something to eat, or bring it back to your computer or what have you, you have the ability to do so. But for our technical directors, all of those who are doing technical directing, right now, this is your opportunity. We have a wonderful, just a quick 20 so odd minute presentation for our technical directors and for those who interested in technical directing and capturing and being mindful of how to lead an entire streaming and camera crew. This is your presentation. So for those who are not, or we're looking forward to the 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock presentations on videography and podcasting, streaming and audio, you'll have those at 1 and 2 o'clock today. But for technical directors, this is your moment right now. We're going to transition into that in a quick second. But for everybody else, it's your opportunity for you to stretch, and we'll see you back here at 1 o'clock to transition into our breakout webinars. Technical directors, this is your chime now.
Everyone, my name is Travis. Thank you for joining me. And today I'll be teaching the lesson on technical directing. Now, I would imagine that some of you may fall on the lines of beginner, some of you may be a little more intermediate, and some of you may actually have been doing this for a while. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, my hope and my goal is that you can take some notes, gain some insights, and walk away with tools that you can implement immediately to help yourself improve to become a better technical director for your ministry. Now, before we really get into things, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up as an individual who works in the professional video production field, the distinction between a director and technical director. Now, if you worked in television, there's two roles. You have the director and technical director. The director is the one who calls the shots. The technical director is the one who actually switches the camera shots, brings up video graphics and things of that nature. It's two different roles. For our purposes, on a much smaller scale, we're taking these two roles and mixing them into one, right? And calling it the technical director. So in this lesson, the technical director is really a culmination of two different roles mixing into one that we're using for our purposes, since we have a much smaller scale than, let's say, television, okay? Okay, so with that out the way, there is one more thing I do want to bring up, and that's the fact that your church may have one camera. Now, in this lesson, we'll be referring to more of a multi-cam setup, at least two or more. But if you have one camera, that's okay. As long as you have a camera and you have a different source where, let's say, you show your videos, you show the lyrics for songs or the scripture reading, you are still, by definition, a technical director. It's just that we will be referring to more of a multi-cam situation for this lesson, but still, if your church is thinking about expanding at some point, there's many insights and terms that you can still gain from this, so stick around. There is something here for you, okay? Now, with all of that out the way, let's get into it and let's define the role of a technical director. The role of the technical director. As technical director, your role is to orchestrate the stream and/or recording of the entire program, including the look and all technical aspects. You operate the video switcher and effectively determine shots and camera movements, call for video or graphic cues, and overall help the team function properly through the production. Now, if you're more of a beginner, that may seem like a lot, it may seem a little daunting, and it can be. You sitting in that position, you have a direct extension, a direct connection to pretty much everyone on the team, from the camera operators to the person running the graphics, to the sound, to the floor manager if you have one. They all kind of come through you because you are effectively, say, the last line of defense with the product that's going out to your audience. But with everything in life, with practice, with time, and with really building that rapport with your team, you all will elevate together and the product of your overall program will improve. Okay, so it may seem a little daunting, but with time, you'll get there. The whole team will get there. Now, with that being said, let's get into the topics that we're going to talk about for today. Okay, so for our topics, we're going to cover 1, the pre-production checklist, 2, directing commands, 3, the video switcher and multi-view monitor, 4, directing camera operators / floor director if you have one, and 5, tips and ways to keep on improving. So now let's get into the pre-production checklist. All right, so the pre-production checklist is basically just a list of items that you want to make sure that you checked when you first come in. Now make sure you come in early so that you can have the opportunity to check all these items and troubleshoot anything should the occasion arise, you find any issues. Now also, I have about 6 items here. The more you do this, you may add to this list. It's all about what is a preference for you that you want to check when you come in to make sure that you are operating at your best and that the team is operating at its best to put on the best production for that day. Okay, so you may add to it. That's totally fine. All right, so let's get into it. Number 1, check the program or bulletin rundown to get a sense of the overall program. It may be the same as usual or some items may be added. It's just a good way to pre-visualize the program and how you may cover certain items with your camera shots. Now that's pretty straightforward. Just getting in there, taking a look at the program, make sure that you're prepared for whatever's to come. Maybe something is added, maybe something was taken away. It's just a way to kind of pre-visualize how you want to approach the program for that day. Okay. Number 2, check that all videos for playback and graphics are loaded in and that they're running properly through the switcher. See that lower thirds, if any, have the correct spelling of names. Now, this is something that can get overlooked. You may not think about it as you're busy trying to, just get prepared for the actual program. But it's always good to just make sure not only that the graphics and the videos, the lower thirds, are in your software and ready to go on that end, but that they also are playing well through the switcher. This is technology we're dealing with. You never know what can happen. There could be little glitches here and there. And as much as possible, you want to prevent anything like that happening in the actual program. So make sure not only that they're loaded into your software, check the names of lower thirds, make sure everything is correct, and that is properly functioning through the switcher. Okay, let's go to number 3. Number 3, check headsets to make sure they're charged, functioning well, and everyone hears you clearly. Another simple thing that may get swept under the rug, may get overlooked as you're moving around trying to get ready for the program. You don't want to wait for the very last minute to check the headsets and find out that a battery needs to be charged or replaced. You want to make sure that that's taken care of. You got that out of the way so that when you're ready to go and everyone can hear you properly and you're good to go. Number 4, check in with camera operators to make sure their cameras are working properly. Definitely something you don't want to wait till the last minute. Once their cameras are set up, you want to make sure that they check their cameras, check the tripod. They know their cameras, or especially if they're new, maybe they're covering for someone that day. You definitely want to make sure that all the functions of the camera are operating properly, the functions of the tripod are operating properly, so that everyone's ready to go once you start the program. Number 5, check the video feeds from each camera to ensure the signals are steady and each camera's white balance and exposure are set correctly. Absolutely something you don't want to wait till the last minute to do, of course. You want to make sure that the camera signals are coming in properly, that there aren't any glitches, and you absolutely want to make sure that the white balance and exposure are set correctly. Whether you do it or there's someone else on your team a little more proficient in doing this, you want to make sure that the colors look right and that the brightness isn't too overexposed or underexposed. You want to make sure it's just right for production. Number 6, check that sound is coming in and are at appropriate levels. Now, this is something you'll be working in conjunction with your sound technician on. So you just want to make sure that the sound levels are proper. Maybe have them play some music. That's a good way to always test it. You should have the levels on your multi-view monitor, or if there's another device that you actually check for the streaming sound, that may be a case. Make sure that your sound technician checks that. Make sure that the audio that's going out to the stream is at the appropriate levels so that you're good to go for production. Okay, so now we're going to talk about directing commands. Now, directing commands can, 1, speak to the whole crew in general, 2, speak to the camera operators in terms of an action that you want them to take, or still talking to the camera operators, but in terms of an action that you're taking on the switcher, just so that they're aware. Okay, now let's get into it. Okay, first we have standby, which is typically used to have crew members pause from any action until you're ready to give further instructions. Now, a command like this can be used at the top of a program, just before you're about to begin, have everyone stand by before you start the stream, or it can be used throughout the program at any time when maybe something has changed. Maybe the floor director lets you know that something has changed and okay, you're saying, okay, everyone stand by while you quickly figure out the next move you want to make. So it's just a way to let the whole crew pause, no one do anything, let me quickly adjust and give you the next action. Next, we have fade up and down, given when transitioning from black to a video source or from a video source to black. Works the same with audio. You're basically going to be using fades at the top of a program and at the bottom of a program. I'm going to fade up from black and fade to black. And it works the same way with audio. You fade up the audio, fade out the audio. So it's really at the top of a program and at the bottom of the program that you'll be using fades. Take. An instant switching from one video source to another can also be referred to as a cut. Dissolve. Action of transitioning between two video sources where one source dissolves or blends into the next source. Now we'll talk about the take and dissolve a little bit more when we go to the video switcher. Zoom. From a fixed point, you're zooming the camera lens in or out from a subject or object. Tilt. Camera moves vertically from a fixed axis up and down or vice versa. Pan. The camera moves horizontally from a fixed axis left to right or vice versa. Now, one quick note about tilt and pan that I must mention is that there is a difference. Some people may mistakenly use pan for everything, to pan up, pan down, pan left, pan right, but it's actually tilt up, tilt down, pan left, pan right. Okay. Truck. The entire camera on a tripod physically moves left to right or vice versa. Dolly. The entire camera on a tripod physically moves forward and backwards. And pedestal or ped, moving the camera vertically on a fixed location. Now here is just a quick graphic to illustrate those last 6 points. The dolly, as you can see at the top left, is just you physically are moving the camera forward and backward. Right next to it is truck. The whole camera, if you're on a tripod as well, it goes left to right. Tilt on a fixed axis, you're tilting the camera up, down. Ped is physically moving the whole camera up and down. Now this works well if you have a camera that has a long neck. You can move it physically up and down that way. And pan, on an axis, you're moving it left and right. Now let's talk about the video switcher and multi-view monitor. Now, the video switcher is the device to switch between multiple video sources and to execute the actions of your directions. Now, we're not going to get into all the functions of a video switcher because video switchers come in all shapes and sizes and can do a tremendous amount of things. But we will talk about what you would typically do as a technical director on a week-to-week basis. Now, the portion of the video switcher that we'll be focusing on is the program row or bus, the preview row or preview bus, and to the right of that, the transition area, we have the cut or take button. We have underneath that the auto transitions button, and to the right of that, we have the T-bar for manual transitions. Now, you may be doing these actions on a computer digitally, which is fine, but it's the same reflection of the actions that you'll be doing, whether you do it on an actual switcher board or on the computer. Okay, so let's start with the program row and preview row on the left. Okay, so as you can see, the program row and preview row are a reflection of each other. Whatever's in one is in the other. Now, with the program row, when you press one of those buttons, it automatically goes out to air. So you have your cameras 1 through 4 as an example here, and maybe say you have ProPresenter and any other video input that you have there, you press that button and it immediately goes out to air. Now in the preview row, it's just that. It's a preview of what you may want to put out to air. So when you hit that, you can see what the shot looks like, maybe make some adjustments before you actually take it out to air. So let's move over to the cut, auto, and T-bar transition functions. Let's start with cut. Now cut works similarly to the program row in that when you press it, whatever video source that is will instantly go out to air, except it works from the preview row. So let's say as an example, you have in the program row, camera 1 pressed and that signal is going live. Camera 2 is pressed in the preview row. When you hit cut, camera 2 from the preview row will go live instantly. Now with the auto transitions button right underneath the cut, when you press that, similarly to the cut button, it takes its feed from the preview row, except it will do typically a dissolve or whatever transition you have loaded in there. And depending on your switcher board, there's a ton of transitions that you can load in there, but it's basically going to do that automatically from the preview row. And typically you can assign the pacing of how fast or slow you want that transition to go when you hit that auto transitions button. Now let's move over to the T-bar. Now the T-bar, like the auto transition button, is typically for your dissolves or whatever transition you have loaded in there, but it's more manual. It's at the pace of your hand movement. So if you go fast, it'll transition fast. If you go slow, it'll transition slow. You just have more control over the speed and timing of the transition. And again, that transition is coming from the preview row. So whatever button you have pressed in the preview row, when you move the T-bar, that will automatically go live. One thing to note about camera dissolves, particularly a note to the camera that you're coming from, is to be clear and let them know to wait until you are completely off of them before they make a move. I'm sure you've seen a lot of times where you're dissolving from one shot to another, and as soon as you say the command of, let's say you're going from camera 2 to camera 1, and you say dissolve into camera 1, and as soon as they hear that command and you're in the middle of a transition, they break off, right? So you have to be clear with them to wait until you finish the dissolve. You are clearly on the next camera before they make a move. Now let's talk about the multi-view monitor. The multi-view monitor is typically a large display which allows you to see the program, preview, and other input sources available to the switcher. So as you see with the multi-view monitor, it's multiple views of all your camera and video sources. And then at the very top, you have your preview on the left and your program on the right. Now your preview, as we said before, is a preview of what you would like to air. You know, it's just a way of checking it before you actually send it out to air. And your program is what's actually going out live. Now, if we look at the bottom, we have the program row and preview row. Now I highlighted the top row, the program row, in red, and you see at the top right, that's just a reflection of whatever key is pressed there will be reflected in the program. And on the bottom in green, at the top left in green, whatever's highlighted in the preview row will be highlighted in the preview screen at the top there for the multi-view monitor. Underneath the preview and program, you have all your, in this case, your camera sources. Now they have camera 1, 2, and 3. And then for camera 4, they have a video source that has their countdown, and MP1 at the bottom left there, which is their media input. They have a graphic. Okay, so that's just an example of all the inputs that you can have and how they reflect with the program row or program bus and the preview row or preview bus. So on the right of the switcher, we have our transition area with the cut button, the auto button, and the T-bar. So right now in this example, we have camera 2 up in the preview area and camera 1 that's going out live. So if we were to hit cut right now, camera 2, the lady singing, will go live. Same thing if we hit the auto button, it will transition, whatever transition effect, whether it's a dissolve or anything else, it'll transition from camera 2 to live. Same thing if we manually move the T-bar, camera 2, the lady singing, will go to program and it will go out live. So now let's talk about directing your camera operators and your floor manager if you have one. And really try to become familiar with these shot terms and make sure your crew understands them as well, because it'll really help the program run as smoothly as possible if everyone's on the same page in understanding your directions. Let's start with camera compositions and terminologies. First up, the wide shot. Now the wide shot usually shows your subject or subjects from top to toe, although they won't fill the whole frame completely. Now, it still gives plenty of background included to give the shot context. Next up is a full shot. The full shot shows your subject from head to toe, filling the whole frame. And the emphasis of a full shot tends to be more on the activity happening, and you want to really emphasize the full body as the activity is going on. Next shot is your medium shot. Now the medium shot shows your subject from the waist up, so it gets a little closer than the full shot, but still gives a sense of environment around them. Now when you frame someone from the chest or shoulders up, it's a medium close-up. Now this shot is typically to connect more with the person. You see their facial features a little bit better, and like I said, it's really for more connecting with the subject. Lastly is a close-up. Now a close-up shot is tightly framed and fills the frame with the subject's face. Now this type of shot is used to capture details and reactions in your subject, as well as reveal their emotional state. Now this, you'd probably use this for maybe if you have special music for a singer, you want to get tight, get in there for that emotion and reaction from them. And maybe if you have, let's say, a play, and you want to capture a character's real raw emotion, you want to get in there tight. So you wouldn't really use this for a typical average service shot, only for special occasions. Okay, so let's talk about framing. Now, in the world of film, framing has many, many terms that can fall underneath it, but I'm going to concentrate on 4 that I think are pretty relevant to us as technical directors on a week-to-week basis. Now, the first thing we're going to start off with is a single shot. Okay, Now take a look at this example. We have these 5 individuals here. Now let's say I called on camera 1 to give me a single shot of the gentleman in the center. So from this viewpoint, camera 1 will now zoom in to that gentleman in the center and give me pretty much a medium close-up. Right? So now let's pull back out. Okay, next we have a 2-shot, 3-shot, etc., depending on how many people are in your frame. So back to this example here, we have these 5 individuals. Now, if I said to camera 1, give me a 2-shot right, camera 1 will now go to, in this example, the lady in the red, and then the lady right next to her right, and give me a 2-shot of those individuals. So that's a 2-shot right. Now, if I say camera 1, give me a 2-shot left, it's the opposite. So it's going to the left, that gentleman and that lady there in the green will give me a 2-shot of those people on the left. It could also work with a 3-shot in this situation. So if I say to camera 1, give me a 3-shot right, they'll give me a 3-shot with that gentleman in the center and the 2 ladies to his left. Also, same thing, 3-shot left. That gentleman to the end, we go from the end and count 2 over, that's the 3, and we'll have a 3-shot left. Okay, so you could do a 3-shot left, 3-shot right, 2-shot left, 2-shot right. It's just a quick way of, let's say this was a singing group, right? If you had a singing group, and it's a quick way to go to a position that you want to highlight individuals instead of really over explaining it. It's just a quick 2-shot left, 2-shot right, 3-shot, single shot. It just makes it a lot more easier. So that's why it's important to kind of learn these terms to make you more efficient. So let's talk about headroom. Now, headroom specifically refers to the distance between the top of a subject's head here and the top of the frame, right? Now, let's look at this example. This is an example of way too much headroom. You see all that dead space above this person's head. It just isn't aesthetically pleasing for the framing of this shot. Now let's correct that. You see now that looks so much better. There's the appropriate headroom and he is filling up more of the shot and the framing of the shot much better. Next is lead room. Now lead room is a distance in front of a person in the direction that they're looking or moving towards. Now, if you look at this example, in this shot with this lady, there's enough lead room in front of her. Her face isn't at the edge of the frame, but there's enough room that leads your eyes in the direction that she's looking, or if she was moving towards. Now, if you're using this in, say, a church setting and you have a second camera on a subject, notice how it's a 3/4 shot, 3/4 of the person and not a profile coming from the side angle, but about 3/4 is more aesthetically pleasing. And you leave enough room in front of them so that your eyes can have room to lead off in the direction that they're looking at, or if they were walking, there's room in front of them to have space in terms of where they're going and they're not butted up against the edge of the frame, and that wouldn't look aesthetically pleasing or work too well for that shot. Okay, so still under the topic of directing your camera operators, let's talk about proper directing practices. Okay, number 1, talk to the camera operators by the camera number and not by their name. It just makes things a lot easier and a lot more impersonal. Number 2, call the camera number before giving instructions. Example, camera 2, give me a close-up of the guest. Camera 1, give me a wide shot. Again, it's something that can be overlooked. Maybe it's the praise team happening and you're so caught up in your camera shots that you want, you may forget to actually call the camera number. So it's just a quick reminder, always make sure to call the camera number before you say what you want. Number 3, always announce which camera is live and remind your operators if the shot is held for a little while. Example, camera 1 is live, a minute or 2 later, camera 1 is still live. You never know. If you call a camera shot, then there's a little lull before you say anything else. The camera operator may forget and think to make a move. So just kind of make sure that they remember that they're live. And number 4, once the program begins, the camera operators and floor directors should not speak to you unless absolutely necessary. The headsets should remain clear and open so you can be heard clearly at all times. That's pretty important that, you are the main person heard at all times. There shouldn't be too much chatter on the headsets unless they have to speak to you, and only if it's absolutely necessary. So, your voice is the only one that should be heard, given directions at all times, and the comms are clear. Okay, the floor manager, if you happen to have one. The floor manager is the eyes and ears of the director on the floor. He or she coordinates the participants as to their turn in the program and positioning on stage. They can also relay messages to you of any sudden changes in the program so you can make necessary adjustments and keep the program running as smoothly as possible. So that's essentially the role of the floor manager. Now, we just mentioned how the headsets and the comms should be clear at all times. Yes. However, the floor manager is the main one, if anyone, that's going to keep in contact with you when they need to alert you of any changes that may be happening so that you can make the proper adjustments to relay it to the camera operators or anyone else that needs to know. Okay, and lastly, let's go over some tips to keep improving. Number 1, keep your composure in difficult situations that you may not have been prepared for. Remember, it's a live broadcast and sometimes things will happen beyond your control. Just do your best to steer the ship. Number 2, if you make a mistake, correct it quickly and forget it. Don't neglect the rest of the program by dwelling on the mistake. And 3, after a live broadcast, encourage your crew and yourself to find time in the week to rewatch the program. It's a great way to see it from the viewpoint of the audience and see how you can improve and make the flow and experience better. And that is the role of a technical director. I do hope you were able to follow along easily, gain some insights that I hope that you can implement as soon as possible. Thank you very much for following along and being here, and God bless.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody got something to eat, went to go use the bathroom. For our technical directors, I hope this was informative to you. A lot of you who are doing technical directing in your local churches, you're doing it and operating with what you guys have in front of you. But as you know, my responsibility, sometimes I like to go around the conference and see how's everybody doing in regards to their streaming. And I think more than anything else, we can't really work on so much about the equipment that we're going to use. Depends on budgeting and church and all of the different things in between. So we're not necessarily talking about what you have as much as it is how you can use it. And I think it's important for especially for technical directors to be mindful of the eye and the communication with your crew and making sure everything is clean in regards to transitions and so on. Those things are extremely important. If you want that presentation, please let me know. Contact me, email me, communications@northeastern.org or Francois, which is probably better, Francois at northeastern.org. Just send me an email and I will try my best. I want to thank Travis Williams from the Lebanon SDA Church, and he is the technical director for the Lighthouse Media Studios and the media truck that we use at camp meeting and different events. He is our technical director. He's fantastic. And I want to thank him so much for taking the time of creating that video for our technical directors. Okay, we are 10 minutes past the hour. We have two breakout webinars today. One is on videography, and the second is on podcasting. So this is the instruction that we have in front of you. If you would like to do the videography 101 for ministry with Cheryl Wilson, you're going to go down right now on the webpage that you are on. If you are on northeastern.org/comms workshop, if you're on the webpage where you're seeing this, go to the general web page and go down. You'll see two breakout videos. One is for videography, and the second one is podcasting made perfect. With the team from the Unbiased podcast. That will happen right now. So right now in this particular setting, we will be holding this particular setting. We will come back on this in this room at 2:00 for Gary Saunders and streaming and audio. But for right now, we want you to break off from this and go to either videography or going to podcasts one of these two for your breakout sessions, and we will be waiting for you there to continue to the experience for our content creation. Thank you so very much, and we'll see you back here on this window in this webinar studio. We'll see you back here at 2 o'clock. Take care.